my own designs, it's usually something, either textiles or nature, that has inspired the pieces of work. For example, the ruffles was inspired by a dress, actual fabric on a dress, and I tried to emulate the fabric. My other design, for example, pods, that was actually inspired after watching a slow motion nature program where a seed pod burst open, and that was the idea behind that. But then I often have meetings with interior designers to discuss their concept, and then I'll interpret it into my own idea of what I think they're trying to get, and then work along those lines with them. So I actually use porcelain paper clay, which has an element of paper in the actual porcelain body. And this means that I can actually, it holds its structure much more, and once it's fired, which I fire it at about 1260 degrees, the paper burns out and it just leaves the porcelain. But to get the process of anything, I tend to use lustre glazes on my work, and to actually get that finish I have to fire the pieces 3 times. So basically I hand form everything, I don't use moulds, I then fire that to a bisque temperature. Once that's done, I then have to glaze, and that takes usually 3 to 4 coats of glaze on each piece. That's then fired to 1260 degrees, and then finally the lustre glaze is applied to the transparent glaze, or the glazes that I've used previously, and that's fired at 750 degrees. Normally, if somebody asks for a commission piece, then depending on my workload, it would be 4 to 6 weeks because of the process. The clay does take a while to dry out once it's been formed, and then with the 3 firing process, that's about 25 hours of firing, and between each one the kiln has to cool down as well, so that nothing can be rushed basically. I'm quite happy to work to clients' deadlines if it is shorter than that, but it does mean that I am working round the clock to do it, which has been the case for some of Luminaire Arts projects.